So listen up, we are going to now answer some quick fire questions for you. So we'll just go around table to table. We'll answer as quickly but efficiently as possible. Make sure that you get your answer so we can get around as many people, because then we'll cover different subjects. So who has the first question? Yes, sir. So hi, David.
Hello.
Hi, David.
I'm David for everyone.
David.
David, yeah.
What's David?
David, it's just
I feel international when I say David. Can I not call you David?
well, my name actually is really David.
David.
Oh, it is. We've been calling you David. Okay, so David.
You don't correct.
What's your
You
question?
don't. You don't correct me for 2 years.
So basically, I am raising finance for everybody, those who has cash. And thank you. Basically, I'm sort of finding challenging to approach people because all the guys that I approach, all of them have less than 5K. It's good money still, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it just maybe is the word in the phrasing, or how do you select the people that they have?
Okay, good. So the nice thing about this is
Just repeat the question.
yeah. So the question is, you're having challenges raising finance, right? So the beauty of learn and do is going to happen more significantly for you this week and probably ever before. Because tomorrow, when we go through the process of what to do and how to say it, you literally just have to follow that. I was speaking to someone, I can't remember who it was the other day. Oh, it's Ahmad. Yesterday, he was saying, "Oh yeah, I was doing it," but then he goes totally off the process. You know, because emotions come into play, and then he starts acting on emotion rather than just following the process. You know, this is what happens. Like when you don't follow the process, you now go off totally on a tangent. So really, because you need this right now, you're going to follow the process exactly as it goes, and it's like straight into the real game. You know, because sometimes maybe people are raising finance when really they don't, you know, need it right now immediately, but you need it right now immediately. Yeah, yeah, you do. Yeah, yeah. So when we go through that process, you've got to remember it's about asking for that person's opinion. Yeah, and the more people that you do, you will eventually come across the person who has the right amount of figure for you, you know, the right amount of finance. So either you're going to find someone that has it all, or we do know people, and you was doing this for a while, Tasha, you were getting like 10,000 here, 15,000 here, and grouping a few people together to get the amount that you needed.
Crowdfund.
Yeah, well, it's a few more, a bit of paperwork, admin type of stuff to record it all. You know, it's not really a lot, is it?
No. I was just like, yes, someone wants to give me money. So I'll take that, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah. So like you say, celebrate the fact, 5K, 10K, whatever it might be, but the aim of the game is to always be doing this process. Always be doing this process. Yeah, and you've got to follow, what was at PWT, that bulletproof system, like the people who are ready right now. Then there's people who are kind of, they're nearly ready, but they just need something to come up for them, like the right deal for them to be ready. And then before that, there's people who are kind of like still in research mode. Before that, people are like, intrigued. And then there's the rest of the people that I just have no idea. Yeah, so you just follow that process. What it is you just got to keep going, despite what your mind says. Your mind is the only thing creating stories about what's happening, not actually what is happening. Because you never know, it could be today, 5 minutes, 1 hour, tomorrow morning where something shows up. You don't have to wait for that to show up for you to be like, oh, this is working. That's my advice. That's what keeps me in the game. I keep telling myself, I don't have to wait for physical evidence to show up for me to believe this works. I just know it works.
And I think also work on your presence, because I've seen some posts online, but when I needed money, like you need money now because you have the deal accepted, you're moving forward, you should be posting 3-4 times a day if necessary until you find the money. Just keep posting until you have the money. So do whatever it takes.
Yeah, so there's two.
And everywhere, post everywhere. Look on the big property groups that've got thousands of people on, they'll have deals. like threads that you can post that you're looking for investor finance on, and be open to JV opportunities as well. You know, not just investment finance. Like, just be open to anything to get this deal through, because as soon as you get one, it's a snowball then, and you'll find that you've got more investors than deals. You know, that's a great position to be in. But right now, when you're like, I need it now, you need to keep posting, keep consistency, as opposed to just one here, there and everywhere. Because remember, you might have some people see it, but it's that one person that is the right person for you at the right time. But unless you're consistent and you keep showing up, they're not going to see it. They're going to miss it.
Yeah, but also there's two sides of it. One is when you do post, you're creating an attraction strategy. Yeah, but then the other strategy is like tomorrow, where we teach you, where you're reaching out and you're asking, not for money, but for people's opinion. Yeah, so we're going to learn, for you guys that have not been here before, you're going to learn how to do that. So there's two sides of it. Yeah, and like Shane, you know Shane? Yeah, he literally, I don't know, I think a few weeks before the last program we did, he actually showed me his list, just following the system that we're teaching, and he raises money all the time. I think, what did he raise? 200 grand in a very short space of time. I don't know if it could have been 20 minutes. I don't know if it was there or people were on his list, but just in a few days anyway. In a few days. Just following the system, and he knows, because as long as he keeps showing up, the money will show up. You just got to follow that process. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow. Does that answer your question? Okay, good. Give him a round of applause. Who else have a question? Yeah, Frank?
The question I wanted to ask in the other room is like, if you go on and say, okay, you call the agent, what do you want? Like this and this and this. Say, okay, that's quite logical. New university, etc. If I look at my hometown, it's like crazy. Prices are crazy. Properties get sold quickly. Like in property prices in Holland are rising since like 2010. So if I do the numbers there, it's never going to work. So I asked this question because I know there's some bullshit in there. But you can help me out.
So what's the bullshit? Is the bullshit it's never going to work?
The bullshit is...
I mean, is that the truth?
The bullshit is not going to work in my hometown.
But what's not going to work?
Buying a property for a reasonable price, be able to rent it out for make a profit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that is true. For some strategies, maybe there is a strategy that works if you want to do it in your hometown. But we have people who live in Sweden and Germany who invest in the UK.
Yeah, that's why I hopped on to the UK. But that's done another thing. Yeah?
But that's one thing. But the reason I give that example is because there are people in the UK who live in London who are investing, you know, in Doncaster, which is miles away. So it's not, you know, the way this whole game and how we're going to teach you to build teams and stuff like that. You don't have to be in your place. I mean, you can move to the place where you want to invest if you want, and some people have done that. Some people just live in a place where, you know, they invest. That's fine, but you don't have to. You know, Claudine and Mark, they were living in Hertfordshire, was it?
Yeah.
Investing in Doncaster, so that was far enough. But they wanted to test themselves, so then they moved to Barcelona. So now they live in Barcelona. So that you don't have to live. So I wouldn't worry too much about, it doesn't work in my city.
So but basically you say where you live, there's going to work anyway. That's what I understood from the main room.
Yeah, but something's going to work.
Yeah.
Something's going to work.
Yeah.
Because
maybe it's a sell strategy. Yeah, maybe rather than a hold strategy.
So
you'll have areas.
If they're selling like that, quickly, then maybe that is.
Some of our flip areas, like we bought a house for 250,000. That's a lot for a rental property. But for a flip strategy, it works great because that's resold for 395, only spending 30 on it. So it's just finding out. Do you remember what I said? Like at least one strategy will work in any area, but you just need to find out what that strategy is. So that might be a sell strategy. So that's your buy, add value, and sell. But saying that at the same time, you don't know for sure, because remember the rental values in these areas where you might be looking like in the UK up north are, I don't know, what do you get, Claudine? Like $450, something like that per room. But you might have, say, if you do a HMO in Holland, it might be £1,000 a month per room is the average rent, because it might be like London prices. In London, you can get a cupboard for like 2,000 a month, something like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but do you know what I mean? So therefore, the valuation goes up. So it's about the income as well as obviously the end value. So yeah, you'll have ways to do the comparables on it. But remember, in higher value areas, also it will be the same for rental strategies. So you just need to analyse what are the rents going to be, because is it worth it, with obviously being able to get your money back out at the end. So I see what you're saying, if it's too high a price to buy it, but that's where we analyse it. And does it work? If it doesn't, you can't force a strategy, you're not going to force a deal to work. But
You don't need to either.
A sell strategy.
Yeah, you don't need to. And also, after lunch, we're going to give you a quick way of working out to see what areas do work. But also then tomorrow, we give you literally a detailed step-by-step system on how to break down figures, costs, and make sure that a deal does work before you even get into it.
Yeah. So basically now I hopped on UK. A couple of reasons. One is they say you don't need own income. I just quit my job a year ago.
Awesome. Congratulations.
So do something.
Yes.
And I don't have my own money now. I mean, but I'm going to know. So the house prices in the north of England are cheaper than in Holland, so I think that's an easier step up. But now I'm getting bogged down, at least in my head, by travel cost, company cost, cost I don't see in all kind of things like furniture for HMOs.
So that's
also
where for
like
you,
exchange costs, like the risk of exchange rates and the risk and exchange fees. I mean, it's like if you have an angel investor and you give them 10%, well, already the exchange back and forth 2 times is a lot.
So that's where you need to analyse. So look, this is my outcome, and I want to earn this amount of income to replace obviously what you were getting before, to get you close to your outcome. So that's like a milestone goal. So say for example you want to earn 2,000 a month in UK, right? So you would set up a UK limited company to buy your properties in.
Yeah.
So you don't have so much challenge around the pricing and the money that's going in and out from investors. It's like an investment loan, director loan. But also,
my investments are going to be in Holland.
Holland.
I mean,
Yeah,
in
so
my idea.
you'll do the normal transactional thing, but if you're in another country and you don't want to factor in all the travel and things like that, then look at it at a different angle, and it's about leveraging. So who is in the UK, in that area, that could project manage the deal for you and go through the deal like that, so that you don't have to constantly travel there, or do joint ventures with people that are from the UK, so that you can use the investment money from the people you have in Holland. So for example, David's got a deal. How have you not corrected me? It's going to take me. David, right? So David's got a deal, and so he's got a deal. He's in the UK. He has time, and he can go and manage the project, get it to completion and everything. But he needs an investor. So you can utilise investment money to invest in that deal, and maybe get 50% for only putting money in. Do you see what I mean? So it's like passive deal structure.
Yeah.
So you don't always have to be involved and into the nitty gritty to be able to gain this income for yourself. Because then you're going to gain 50%, you're going to get all the money back to pay the investment back, and then 50% of the income once it's finished. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but I still have like the extra cost of exchange and exchange fee and exchange risk.
That's why setting up as a business to protect yourself is so important. Because people can invest in property, but they don't really make money. But they think they're making money because they're invested in property, and they think, well, in 10 years time I'll have this. Well, that's fine, and you might generate some wealth, but who knows? But if you want cash right now, you have to set it up as a business, and then you fine tune all the strategies, what we're going to teach you here, and then there's other strategies that we do. And it's not just about doing one thing. If you you move very slowly. If you want to do more deals at the same time, it's actually easier. And the quick explanation of why that's easier is because if I do stage, let's say it's just 10 steps, yeah? First step, second step, third. By the time I've done step 10, and then I want to go and start do another deal, I forgot what step 1 was. Well, if I do step 1 and then step 2, and then on a different deal, I do step 1 again, and I remember. I'm quicker and I'm better at it now because I remember it because it's so quick. And then I do step 3, and then step 2 of this, and then I'm going to start another one. So now step 3, 2, and 1. So it's happening quicker, so it's easier. And it's easier to systemize, plus then I make more money, and that tipping point of making sure, like you say, that I can cover all of these expenses, I can start hiring people and delegating quicker But if you just want to do one property, honestly, 1, 2, 3, 4 properties, it's not going to do anything.
And exchanges, just don't worry about it because it's part of your cost of doing the deal in the first place. We have investors from all over the world, so it definitely is all factored in before you even get into the deal, before it costs you anything. You factor all that cost and they exchange in.
Yeah, that's part of saying as whether it works or not.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we might pay, like we might go into a joint venture partnership with 50% of ownership and rental income. We might pay 10%, we might pay 12%. One guy currently that we're due to pay back soon, 20% we're offering it. So I think the difference between 10% and 20% definitely factors in any exchange rate, right? Yeah, definitely, yeah. But like we only said we want to do 20% with this guy because we needed the money quickly and the deal worked with still paying that amount to the investor.
And we still make 50 grand extra out of it, and then £1,500 net income a month.
Yeah, so it's factored into the deal, but we're going to show you after lunch, and then tomorrow as well you're going to have all of that stuff in amongst some other stuff that we're going to do that's going to help you work through some of that mind trash you've got going on.
Okay, yeah.
That's okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
But
Good.
I love your energy,
For
by the way.
now at least.
For now.
I love your energy, Frank, though, by the way, so keep bringing it hard.
Good round of applause. Yeah, so we're quicker then.
Yeah?
Yeah. Have a question?
I've got a planning one.
Yeah.
Basically, planning's been approved, but there's conditions on the application that if we go ahead with it, the house that's going to be split into 3 units won't get any parking permits. And I'm just trying to find out, do we go for an appeal? Because I'm trying to speak to the council, but I'm just hitting a brick wall at the moment.
So why won't there be, so the question is, you've had planning approved to,
Yeah.
to turn it into 3 units,
Yeah.
but
The
they will not,
condition
the
that,
condition is that they don't get any parking permits
Yeah,
for the
lifetime
property.
of that conversion.
And is it just buy-to-lets, like 3 buy-to-lets, or is it studios, or like what?
It'll be the 2 flats, and one of them is a full-size property.
Yeah, no, this came up before. So let's clarify this because this came up on a mentoring, but then you wasn't there to ask the additional question to. So when that came up, the one I wanted to ask was, are you saying that there's no parking permit while the project is going on? So builders and people...
Through the lifetime of the build, there will be no parking permits entitled to that house. As the house stands as a house...
For the
it's
lifetime of
entitled-
the build, what do you mean by the build? The project?
As soon as we start the project,
Uh-huh.
it loses its permits.
Okay, and then what about when you finish the project?
Doesn't get nothing
And then it doesn't get them back?
unless you convert it back to a house, I guess.
Unless you come back to a house. Okay, so they're obviously playing some game to force
Because
some
The
situation.
other problem is we do have a drop curb as well outside the house,
Mm-hmm.
so we have to pay the council to reinstate it, and they're still not going to give us even one parking permit as it stands at the moment.
But you already have a drop curb,
Yeah.
so can you park on your drive?
Yeah, but part of the council plan is you need to have a front garden if you're going to do like these kind of conversions. Yeah, it's a bit messed up at the moment.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But just,
So
I'm just trying to get to the council to speak to someone to try and get some
So look on the
advice.
planning application on the portal, and on the documents, the associated documents, you should find the planning officer's name and number. Direct dial will be on the
No response.
on the online. Just keep ringing,
Keep ringing.
keep emailing,
Daily?
keep ringing.
I
Hourly.
didn't want to do it.
Honestly,
like-
serve us hourly until you get a
yeah.
response.
Okay.
When I needed a response from the EA that they said we wouldn't be able to get a response from, I rang him every 30 minutes until I got hold of him so that he could remove his condition of saying no, we couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
So until you get your desired outcome, just keep ringing, keep doing whatever it
yeah, but
takes.
also if you want to be clever about it, like think of how people's days work.
Yeah.
Like ring them just before, before 9, because they might go to the meeting at 9. Ring them, just after the hour where they probably finished the meeting, and there might be some transition period before they go into net. Ring them just before lunch. Ring them just after lunch.
Ring their colleague and say, when are they due back to their desk? Are they at the desk
Yeah,
now? Can you put me through?
Because I've started with the guy who's the case officer. He went to highways and said the highway said no. So I've gone to highways, chasing highways, and got feedback from them. And then obviously I've gone to the.
And is it an area that will, because obviously it will cause a challenge for the builders, but we've had areas where we couldn't get permits and we just made it work, so you just get a grab lorry instead of a skip. But is it an area that will need parking, or is it close to stuff, so it'll be more
It is.
cyclists, or?
It's kind of close. It's not I mean, to the stations is a 10-minute walk, which is fine. But
So they're just trying to increase environmentally healthy.
Let me
That's
clarify the
what it is.
problem. You say the problem is for the build or when the tenants move in that there's no parking, or both?
it'll be the lifetime.
Yeah, I know, but what's causing the problem? That you can't park there while you...
The conversion is causing the problem.
Yeah, but so when you're doing the conversion, you can't park there. That's the problem. Because afterwards, it doesn't matter.
Afterwards, once you've finished, and you can't, I can't rent out the units until that drop curb has been lifted, and I have to notify the council that I'm going to start renting it, and then they're going to withdraw any permits for that house.
So then it just comes with no parking.
It comes with no parking.
And is that a problem for the rental?
Depends, because the thing is, the council wanted the ground floor unit to be a family unit.
So then give me parking and stop removing my drop curb, stop being such idiots.
Well, yeah, that's the point, because it kind of...
No, but then you can put that back to them and say, if you
So-
want it to be a family unit, appreciate
Yeah,
the
hold on,
families
because you
have
can get into an
cars.
argument. So the
Put it in
best,
a-
the best way to do it is find out what they want. Meaning, what are their targets?
Yeah.
Because if you just say, what do you want, they don't know how to answer that. But if you say, what, in this area, what are the targets around everything to do with your project? You know, types of units that you need, number of parking allocations, find out what their targets are. Above, this is like minuscule stuff and you're trying to deal with it on a one deal basis. But this has been proposed because there's some target up here somewhere. Find out what this target is and then find out how you can either adjust or fit in to achieving this target. If you really want to make this deal work, that's really what ultimately, that's what's happening. Somewhere down the line, someone is just saying, this is the message, but it's not the real information. The real information is, this is being proposed because we need to hit this target. So you've got to find out what this higher level target is. And I don't know how far up the chain you have to go, but it's a council, you can speak to
And
anybody.
just be a total novice and say, I don't understand, can you please help me understand what's going on here?
They talk about targets because government and councils and all that, they're all about targets. What's the target? What's the target? This is what we have to make happen by this date. And they give themselves 5 years to do it. Sometimes longer. So just find out what that high level target is, then you can start to propose things. Well, they'll be like, well, actually, yeah, because this helps us do that. Then you're working together. Because the last thing you want to do is, I want to do this. Well, no, you're not going to do that. Highways and then it's like computer says no syndrome. So you don't want to, that's like, now they just don't respond to you. Yeah, so work with them, find out what this high level target is. That's what I would suggest to do first and figure out what's going on. Because there's got to be a way if you want to make it work and if the deal works and if it's good enough to do that.
And like worst case scenario, you have 3 fantastically rentable units with no parking. I don't provide parking unless it's like a flip or something that has a driveway. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but there won't be no parking anyway, because they won't be entitled to the parking permit, so...
Exactly. So it's just a unit that they can
But that's
rent.
based on the
It's
current
not parking.
situation. But if you find out what's going on here,
But I'm
there may
saying
be some
worst case
adjustments
scenario.
that you can do. Adjustments. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Awesome. Big round of applause.